Hello, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching AMAC's Better for America, and we're here live at CPAC. Joining me now is former U.S. Representative and conservative advocate Doug Collins. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It's great to have you.
I'm glad to be with y'all.
Real excited. So we are right now in unusual times in America. We've got two men that are running for president. That's Joe Biden and Donald J. Trump.
Yep.
Both of them incumbents. So unusual,
Yep.
right? But that presents, I think, a unique opportunity for Americans to really look at their records.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think so, and I think that's the part that Republicans, conservatives have got to get the message out. We can't just simply depend on Joe Biden bad. Just frankly, if you want to flip it around to the other side, they're not going to be able to depend on just Donald Trump bad. So at the end of the day, people are really struggling. They're struggling in the economy. They're struggling with our America's stature overseas. They saw what happened in Afghanistan. They see what's happening at the gas pumps. They see what's happening at jobs. They know that inflation has risen almost 20% over the last, 2 years, but it's not going back down. Although it says that, we're down to 3% inflation, it doesn't mean that we've had de-inflation. So it's already up. It's just still going up. So people need to have a look at two incumbents' records. And I say incumbents because you have one 4-year and have this term now.
Yeah.
What was working under Donald Trump, what's not working under Joe Biden, and make your choice. And I think that's where conservatives, though, can't just assume that everybody understands that. We've got to make it clear on how this is why these things are happening.
Now, previously, you were the former U.S. representative in Georgia's 9th congressional
Yes.
district. That was from 2013 to 2021. Have you ever seen such a divide in our country like you do today in terms of where the Democrats stand and the Republicans stand in Congress? Is this something new in your mind, or has it gotten worse?
It's not historically new. I mean, there's been times when the country, I would say, would have as much
course.
problem. But right now, it's become even magnified because it's become the more the political side. It's not just simply it's elections. It's other things that are all that play into the ability to not get along is actually rewarded. And I think that's on both sides. So you have the left who will stick together to get a policy done. Sometimes on the right, we don't stick together and we not end up getting stuff done and we get mad about it. So I think the divide, though, between the Democrat policies and the Republican policies, or conservative policies, is really at a division now to where it's a continuation of bigger government, bigger role of government, the more dependence on government, and then the moving back or moving away, at least some from that from a conservative perspective. So from that perspective, there is a big difference, and it's getting worse in the sense that there's no discussion about it anymore. You have a side now, many in the Democrat Party, who don't believe that the economic situation in our country is bad because they actually see a more government role. And then the alternative from the right is not trying to chip away at this. It's just saying it's all bad and trying to change it overnight. And that's not going to happen either.
What strikes me is just very unusual for times is to have two very different ideologies. If you just look at Donald Trump and Joe Biden, those two men believe in very different things, fundamentally different things. One example is wide open border. Joe Biden seems to think, the president seems to think that a wide open border is no issue, that there's no issue. He also doesn't seem to think that there's lawfare, political lawfare occurring as he goes after a former president to prevent him perhaps from running. I want to talk a little bit about criminal justice reform, because that is something, it's really tearing apart our country. Tell us a little bit about the great work that you're doing.
Well, we've done this, and Donald Trump signed, the First Step Act. There's a lot of things been working. Conservatives actually should be the forefront of criminal justice reform, because what it means is you hold people accountable for what they do, you fund the police, you have a justice system that is fair, and that you actually then work on those who can be rehabilitated so they don't come back into the system. It's a money and morals issue. The problem is now in this country is you've had the left take it over, in which nobody is held accountable. We defund the police and we don't make our community safer. Nobody wants to be in that position. So from a conservative perspective, we're saying, look, people are going to do crimes and they're going to be punished for it, fairly punished for it. And when they're ready to come home, we're going to give them the skills to come back and not go back again. One of the things that was brought out that Donald Trump signed, I was one of the writers of it, was the First Step Act, which basically for those who've went through the program, and there's been a lot of misinterpretation about what this program did, even from former presidential candidates who just completely got it wrong. It's not a jailbreak bill. The people who use the incentives to get out, the recidivism rates on federal prisons were almost close to 50%. In other words, 50% of the people in will come back within the first year or two. under the First Step Act, those released under the First Step Act, the recidivism rate dropped to 12%.
Wow,
That means that you're safer. That means that you got people working. That is the things that are going forward. So these are the kind of things that the Republicans and conservatives can work on. Democrats like to talk about it, but they don't like to do anything about it. We've actually provided things that actually can help us.
Yeah, it seems that the left is very good at messaging, and unfortunately, a lot of people are falling for it. It's sort of masked with, we have to be empathetic. We need these sanctuary cities. We need to get rid of the police. They're all bad. And we know that that's not true. If you just look at what's happening across the country, our cities are certainly no better off today than it's been.
Donald Trump asked a great question in 2016. He said, what do you lose by voting for me? And I think when you talk to some of our communities, our minority communities, and others who've been left behind in this economy, no matter what the color of their skin or their background is, what would you have if you voted Democrat all this time and you're seeing the same thing after the same thing after the same thing? What would be wrong with voting for me? The worst case scenario is you don't get anything. Well, guess what? You're not getting anything now. And the best part of it is we could actually go with, like Tim Scott and others, and I've worked on opportunity zones. We've actually looked at making jobs available in those areas. So those are the kind of things we've got to work on.
So, Congressman, tell me a little bit about your plans to speak here at CPAC.
Yeah.
A lot of people are tuning in. Who will be on that panel?
We're looking forward to it. We've got one today. We're going to be working with former White House official I worked with, Jerron Smith. We're going to be talking about criminal justice reform this afternoon in one of the breakout sessions. But then tomorrow afternoon, Steve Moore and myself and others, right before, just a little bit before Donald Trump speaks, we're going to be talking about economics and the Biden economic regime that is taking away intellectual property, taking away the very fundamental engines of our working, and how people are seeing that going forward, and how we need to talk about that.
Wonderful. Well, we're so thankful for you that you're out here, that you're fighting, that you're spreading truth, you're getting people engaged, and we just thank you for the great work that you continue to do for America. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, always glad to be with you. Thanks.
God bless you.